Podcast Network. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. How the heck are you, buddy?
I am wonderful today. Wonderful today. Got another weekend of great wrestling to get through. I want to thank everyone who wished me a happy birthday on Facebook or in person. I do appreciate that.
They got you at Southern Fried, man. Come
They
on.
got me at Southern Fried. They pulled me down to the ring, sang happy birthday to me, and David got me, yes. But it was a lot of fun, and I do appreciate that. And I thought it was
I was
great.
hoping to surprise you last night. They would have gave you, because they do happy birthdays on Monday nights at the Watkinsville show, but, I was like, oh, that's why I was trying to get you to come last night.
Worn out from everything I've got going on. NWA show on Friday night. Saturday night we went to Southern Fried. Yeah. A lot of stairs walking for me at the NWA show, going back and forth, handling little businesses and stuff. Lots of, center stage. It's an exercise.
Yeah, that's cool. You know what else, man? You were talking about a whole lot going on. We got a whole lot going on over on a couple places. One, obviously, look, if you're a YouTube watcher, tappedoutpod.com, that is the web address that will take you to our YouTube channel. Patreon.com/tappedoutpod. That's where you get everything. And, look, I was telling on the other show, the show notes are huge right now when you're talking about all the Indy coverage that we do on the Making of the Drives and the Indy Rewind over on the Tapped In show. But also, you get the content early, et cetera, et cetera. But, Myron, this weekend, I went down to Action on Friday in Tyrone. Somehow, I'm not sure how we even made this happen. People are asking, how did you get that monster to sign anything? But the Atrocity Cruel, he was the Patreon exclusive this month. Those 8.5 and 11s by 11s, they got mailed out first thing Saturday. I shipped those out after I got them signed on Friday. But the digital copy, it did go up. I think I put it up on Saturday as well.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 covers this month.
Ooh.
There's a regular version and a variant cover because, I'm a comic book guy, so there's a variant cover in there. So those went out. That's the value alone. I tried to explain to somebody. 2 8.5 by 11s autographed by Cruel. What's that? I mean, $25. What are you doing, folks? We keep trying to tell you $25. Like, get on board, man. Get on board the train.
Oh yeah, you got to get on. And and another thing is, I really love when we meet somebody new in the business or meets a fan or something. We're talking. Like, where can we find you?
Tapped Out Pod
on Facebook. Tapped Out Pod.
Tapped Out Pod.
On the Instagrams.
Tapped Out Pod.
On any podcast server.
Tapped Out Pod. What's your website? Tappedoutpod.com. What's your email? Tappedoutpod@gmail.com. You see a theme going there, folks?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, simplification for you can find us at any time. I love it.
Borderline trying to brand, folks. Borderline trying to brand. That's all I'm saying. Mr. Wrestler, whose tags are different on every single platform under the sun, and you can't find it,
Or call yourself like a Japanese name and nobody knows what it means.
No clue, right?
Yeah.
Listen, but let's get started because this is going to be a pretty, there's some good stuff here I want to get to this week, Myron. One of the questions I always start our show with on the Tapped Out podcast, what caught your eye on TV this week, right? It's a national show for the most part. So
England faced piece of male genitalia was a great one, but they stripped Seth of the title and they had to ask Braun Breaker to give it back, please. That was pretty badass. I ain't gonna lie, man. He looked.
I loved Pierce's response in the bag.
Yes.
Could you put them back in the mat? Ask me, say please. And he's like, absolutely not. So the meat of the story, obviously, yes, Seth Rollins, clearly he went and had his MRI, whatever he had to get done, X-ray, CAT scans, who knows. Clearly it's worse enough, it's bad enough he's not coming back anytime soon. Or so we believe. Like we've been down this road before. Clearly, I don't think this time this is that case, but we'll see how bad it is. But it was bad enough to take the title off on him.
I like the take the title off thing, and that's going to come back later on in the show.
But here's the funny thing is, I agree with you, yes. But who's next?
They had a number one contender, and they did a battle royal to find out who the next number one contender. So now that both number one contenders are picked, and they know where to put them. They've got a big match coming up.
CM Punk obviously had already earned the right to be in a match on Saturday Night Main Event to wrestle for the title. The injury to Seth Rollins, Jey Uso wins the Battle Royal. Interject tangent here, number one. Jimmy helps him all match long, and then Jey just dumps him without question.
Two men can't win a Battle Royal. They can't be a tie in a Battle Royal, Nick.
Somebody. Do you feel that he could have? They could have been the last two, and then win at it man to man.
Well, they did it any means necessary. They did it. Is that Roman Reigns style now? We're gonna see.
Is Jey learning?
Yes,
that's the question.
More character development for Mr. Yeet. Okay.
Yeah.
4 letters, 1 word, Battle Royal. Doesn't exactly work that well. But I love seeing AJ Lee on this show again.
Well, in the notes, I have AJ Lee are the new tag team champions. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defeat the Judgment Day, and they are the new tag team champions. Why is this in the show notes? Well, 1, new tag team champions. 2, is AJ about to make a run where his last year where he's starting to pick up some titles along the way?
Get him some gold, man. Get him some gold. And then they hadn't defended that title belts. The Finn Balor and the big-headed guy hadn't defended the title belts in forever. So take it off of them, put it on AJ, who is phenomenal in more ways than one, and let this happen, man. It was great. Now Dragon Lee's the one that's getting the rub here. Okay, he's the one getting the big push out of this. He's with AJ Styles, and now he's a tag team champion. So.
The funny thing is, I originally thought, because here's how short-term memory works when you're old, folks. I originally had thought like Styles had never been a tag champion before, but then I was like, oh shit, he had been. I forgot. Here you go, folks, because we all forget. He was tag champions with Omos for a minute. Yeah. Do you remember that now? When I say it, he was tag champions.
No, I don't remember that at all.
So I thought they were kind of like, hey, let's help him try to get all the belts he hadn't won, etc., or help him, something. But I think, hey, we're going to partner him with this kid and try to build this kid as he's on the way out.
Yeah.
It seems like guys like AJ Styles and John Cena are kind of understanding that along the way. We'll see.
Well, is the internet listening to us?
I want to ask you a tangent.
Okay.
Vince Russo's on his podcast saying, I'm hearing things that John Cena's not happy, bro, with his retirement run. And I'm not saying anything's going to happen, bro, but I'm hearing John Cena's people have been contacted by AEW's people.
That is the stupidest thing I have ever heard in my life. Okay. I don't have sources. Okay, seriously. I don't have sources. I do have some people in AEW. But that's John Cena would never, ever, ever, never do something like that.
I know what you're saying. But this is wrestling, and I say never. We're going to have a whole lengthy conversation, by the way, later in this show about something that I think will dramatically potentially affect us. But here's the thing where you want to know why it could happen, and then we're going to move on. There's one logical reason I breadcrumbed the possibility of it happening.
Bro.
Hold on. What did you just watch that had John Cena in it?
I watched Peacemaker.
Okay. Who owns Peacemaker?
Warner Brothers Discovery.
Who also has a minority stake in allegedly
AEW.
Is there enough money for a DC / Warner Brothers Discovery could say to John, as your role of Peacemaker, we'll pay you a ton of money to make this appearance, at AEW? Is it possible? How big's the number? I don't know. That makes sense? Because if Tony's not the only one paying it and Warner Brothers DC's picking up some of the tab to make it happen, is there a number big enough that could make John Cena do it?
That totally invalidates this entire year, Nick.
I agree with that. Because now, I don't think it's going to happen, but I would never sit here and say there's no way it'll ever happen. Because
they'll put John Cena's head in a fish tank. Okay.
Peacemaker could come out on AEW. It could be a spot. He could be RoboCop. You never know. That's my whole point. I'm saying I would never say never. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I do not.
That is the most horrible thing you've ever said on the show or told me about. I'm going to have bad dreams about that now.
I'm sorry. Speaking of bad dreams, Sami lived one on SmackDown, by the way. Sami open challenge. Out of nowhere, didn't see it coming, just like an RKO. Sami Zayn is no longer United States champion. Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah, he is. He had to beat two other people down to the ring, Miz and Carmelo. Comes out there like a bad ass and dominates the match and works through it. A lot of heavy duty damage. But that's the problem with an open challenge. Now, is he going to have an open challenge for his belt now?
I wouldn't if I'm him. Look, I get it. There's nobility in the open challenge, but if I'm a champion, I'm probably not worried about nobility. I'm worried about holding on to my championship. So there is that part of the equation. Now, the story is Triple H is a massive fan of Ilya Dragunov. Makes perfect sense with the way he was treated in NXT. But he also, if he just comes back, is he lost in the shuffle? If he just comes back and he loses to Sami, let's say that's what the plan was, he's going to wrestle Sami and he loses. Is he relegated right? But there's no any momentum.
To the theory. He's a theory, Austin theory.
And for the record, folks, it didn't hurt him in the least.
No, Sami Zayn could lose to anybody, anywhere, anytime, and he's still going to be the most beloved, and he's always going to be on the cards.
Yeah. So all roads are headed. All these things that are happening are leading, obviously, Punk and Jey. With Jey winning the Battle Royal, he will now face CM Punk at Saturday Night Main Event. Cody and Drew are going to go at one-on-one for the WWE title. Rumored matches. They have not been as of recording, folks. Dom versus Penta versus Rusev. Stephanie Vaquer and Nikki Bella versus Raquel and Roxanne Perez. And Carmelo and Miz, obviously stemming potentially from the issue you just spoke about. The run down to the ring and all that. The stuff that's been going on with those two. So Saturday Night Main Event available on Peacock November 1st. That's the one that's crazy, guys. You're going to have to keep up with where the shows are going to be, and Peacock's going to be sitting there with the Saturday Night Main Event. So,
and where's Halloween Havoc? That's going to be on Peacock too, I guess. It's the next see. We've had this discussion a million times.
Maybe back to it here shortly.
But when we do all this kind of stuff, we got it here, we got it there. But are they doing good on ESPN? How is that working out?
So, story broke literally 4 hours before we hit record. I'm not going to name the website, and I'll tell you why in a minute. WWE streaming deal in jeopardy with ESPN or whatever. ESPN people aren't happy. It's not meeting expectations. Growth isn't there. Blah 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 blah. Obviously everybody's like, yeah, but they've got the deal for X amount of years. We've always heard in years past. There are there are limits, criteria you have to meet, or it voids the deal. Could those be in place if ESPN was smart? 100%. So could the deal be in jeopardy? I don't know. We were talking a little bit off air before we hit record about let's go with the assumption that it is. Why would that be? And it all boils down to marketing by ESPN and negative marketing by the wrestling fans. I think kind of are your biggest things.
We broke these deals. Me and you before the show, we were doing all the math. We sat here and if you pay this for this and you pay this for that, if you're a pure wrestling fan, an AEW fan, just an AEW fan, you're better off financially just buying Max for the time being and then paying for each pay-per-view out of pocket. If you're a WWE fan, you have to have how many services now?
Well, we did it. We were just trying to figure it out because we were saying, you got to have cable of some kind because you got to have USA Network to get SmackDown. some form or fashion, whether it's Sling, DirecTV Stream. You can get creative here in a minute, folks, and we're going to go through some of this. But you got to have, so we got some kind of streaming to have CW. CW you can get with an antenna, but that's another conversation. CW and USA, so some kind of basic cable of some form. Then you got to have Peacock for Saturday Night Main Event and for the NXT stuff, and who cares about the Vault, whatever. But then you got to have Netflix to get Raw. Then you got to have ESPN to get, the PLEs. So you're kind of like, it just starts piling and piling. If you're frugal and you're doing some shopping here and there, you can get it around $80 to $90. It's kind of ballparking. It's kind of how I was doing it. I get it, folks. If you're not frugal and you're not shopping and you're not getting the right deals, that's on you. I'm just telling you, you can have them all for about $85 to $90, somewhere in that ballpark. I'm speaking from experience. Now, is it a value? And here's, we had this conversation again off air a little bit where we talked about, like, I don't know if you only like one thing. I'm only getting it for wrestling. Clearly, the Max AEW is a better deal. Value. Maybe not a deal, but a value. But the problem is the WWE thing, like, yes, I get it. You're only, if you're only a WWE fan and that's all you're trying to watch, it's not the best value. But let's be real. I would hope, for your sake, not yours, but for your sake, the people listening or watching, that you're not just a wrestling fan. Like, have some other interest.
Well, I don't have HBO Max for just wrestling. Correct. I have HBO Max because my wife likes a bunch of stuff on there. I have HBO Max because of the DC library. Because when I'm down, when I get to these Bruce Wayne depressed levels, where I'm doing those things where I want to sit in a dark room and just watch something, I watch Batman's, even if I've seen them before. Netflix for WWE, tons of content. Regular television, I would like to buy a la carte, where I could just buy the channels I want. So that, but you still extra value for my wife.
In a weird way, you borderline can, and that's what I was trying to tell somebody. Only thing I wish Raw in some form or fashion was on Peacock the next day or later after it aired or something to that effect. Because then
instead of being on Netflix.
Well, I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, because on, we watch a lot of shows after the fact, like TV shows.
Yeah.
Like, we have Peacock, but we also watch, Law and Order SVU on there. We watch some movies when they do them. They suck at movies, by the way. But just other shows. HBO Max. We have it obviously for DC. We have it for, my wife's a Harry Potter fan. Harry Potter's on there. She can watch Harry Potter anytime she wants to. Any of the movies. Randomly just choose, boom, watch it. Believe it or not, though, Myron, we watch Deadliest Catch on there. It's there. It's literally there. When it comes on TV, it drops on the app. Sometimes it's early. I'm not going to get into that, but which is weird. Sometimes it drops before the TV episode drops. So you see what I'm saying, right? So it's like
value added. It's a value added.
Correct. You have to look at the package of what you get. Now let's just narrow it down to the creature we're discussing, the ESPN app. If you are only, and I mean only, a WWE fan, I will agree with you 100%. Sort of. You're still willing to pay $40, $50 for an AEW pay-per-view, but you're not paying $30 to get the PLEs on. It's still a better value in a weird way. Maybe it's not. You know why? WWE's not giving you a 5-hour pay-per-view. They're giving you a 2.5, 3 hour, whatever, 3-hour PLE. So maybe you don't think it's as valuable. My take was, and I think you agree with this, massive sports fans that we can watch. NBA is going to be on there. Football's on there. College football. Monday Night Football. I mean, there's just all the avenues of everything you'd want.
Marvel. I sat down and watched Marvel Zombies. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Disney library, if you've got kids that age. But you saying new subscribers?
Hold
How
on,
do they tell
pause. I
what?
need to clarify. I need to clarify what you just said. I was speaking specifically the ESPN app, but yes, if you bundle it in with the Disney and the Hulu, 1,000%, you are
Yeah,
correct. You get all of the above for it's like what $35 right now.
yeah, I think it was. That's what I
Or
paid
I
like
think you do
28.
45. You do the ad version
No,
or
I
the
paid 28. I think I paid 28 for the whole thing. I got some kind of deal on it, and it was the ad free. I can't remember what it was. I probably
Gotcha.
there's some deals like I'm not as uh, savvy as you are, but I wander into them sometimes based on just wandering around the internet.
So yeah, so you get all this other stuff in your
Yeah.
package. It's
So if
you're
I
getting
was
Disney,
buying
Hulu, same.
already, I was already buying Disney
Yeah.
Plus. I had Hulu because it was something else. There was something on there. And sometimes you just want to turn your wife loose with a bunch of television so you can go watch wrestling.
Yeah.
So I mean, I
The
don't know what
other
to tell you.
the other there are creative ways if you're like, hey, I want cable, but I want it. I always tell people sign up for the DirecTV stream. Look, I get it. It's like the $85 or the $115 package. I understand it, but you get your cable, all of it with the higher end sports channels, or whatever. But you get the ESPN app, you get the Disney, you get the Hulu. That's all included in it. So if you take I was trying to tell somebody, if you take the 35 or whatever $35 package, take it off of now your cable itself is, you could say technically you're only paying like 80. You see what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like you got to do the math on it, and that'll give you some of the what you're looking for. But it
But
is what it is.
using the VPNs to get around on Netflix for all the WE content is spotty at best.
Yeah.
I've done it. It gets slowed down. It tends to slow down based on time you've been watching it. So I'm not recommending it. I'm not Stephanie McMahon, but
Now,
I can see where it would be an issue if you just wanted
listen,
everything.
I understand that people want to do that. And I'm not, by the way, I am not justifying the prices or anything by any stretch. And I'm going to get tapped out pods in the hate mail there, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. My only pushback to that sometime is we have watched the pay of wrestlers increase over time. And I'm not saying it's proportionate, just hear me out. We have seen the wrestlers' pays increase over time because of the amount of money they're making. When you start shortcutting the money they're making, who do you think is going to be the first people to get cut? Like as
Well, in
far as the
wrestling,
saving?
it's going to be money.
The wrestlers.
They're going to be back to hot dogs. Okay.
So you think you're hurting? I'm only hurting the man, the WWE, or TKO. So yeah, cool, it's awesome, and you are. I'm not saying you're not hurting them. They're going to get theirs back. So they're going to cut their wrestlers. And then, when they start cutting wrestlers, it's like they're not going to lose their profits, folks. So
No, they're a business now.
Yeah.
They're not going to take care. I mean, everybody was mad because they wouldn't give Sir Mo a kidney transplant and W pay for it. This is not Vince McMahon friendly time now.
Well, hold on. By the way, I don't even know the story. Was he eligible? Like, was he on the
I
list?
I don't know. I don't know.
But
It
you
was
see
an
what I'm
internet
saying? Yeah.
headline. It was an internet headline that made the WWE look bad for no.
Yeah.
They may have not even been contacted.
Heck of a week, by the way. Ridge Holland fired while he's in rehab, like he's rehabbing an injury that he sustained in a ring, and they're not going to pay him. They're releasing him out while he's on it. I'm like, okay, whatever. I get it. Listen, it's almost like a robot's doing it, right? Like the robots are running the company,
making the decisions.
And that story came out this week, so we put it on here. We're just going to have a conversation about it. And an unpopular one, by the way, friend of the show, Cruel, made a post about AI, and it went about as well as I imagine this one's going to go when I get into this. There's a story that broke that they're hiring somebody in WWE potentially to be let's just call it what it is. They're going to use AI to write stories potentially.
Well, not all of it. Not all of it. They're going to use AI to do production. They're going to use AI to stuff like that. It's something everybody's doing right now. That will hurt graphic designers and stuff like that. But writers, that's a tough one. What are we going to say? We're going to say Kevin Sullivan. If he'd have been back, if we had AI back then, would they replace Kevin Sullivan? Could AI come to Southern Fried and replace Todd?
So here's my thing. Hear me out. I don't think they're talking about it doing all of it. I am speaking from personal experience. If you use AI as a tool, and not the person. Like, I don't have any qualms whatsoever if you told me you're the booker at some wrestling company or the creative staff and they're feeding all of the information in there. If it's giving you some good ideas, it's giving you some good skeleton to work with, and then the humans are fleshing it out and giving it, oh, well, let's do this. It doesn't know this, so let's do this. I mean, like, you tweak it along the way. I don't get the big deal.
See, I've done a lot of job applications in the past year, and they take, when you paste your resume in, AI takes it and pulls all the data out, figures out where you're at, what you got. They probably cut you right there if you're not doing. But I made that resume with some help from AI. But everybody's going to do it, folks. If it's one of those things, it may not be popular, but the train is moving. At some time, I was telling my daughter this, who's in school for graphic design. I said, I don't care how arrogant you are about AI and just no AI, no AI, no AI. It's going to be there regardless. And it's going. You need to learn somehow what you can do with it to benefit you, because it's easier to beat your enemy if you know about your enemy and know how to handle it. You find AI's weakness, you exploit it, and you make art.
You said what I think is one of the largest obstacles. It doesn't have to be your enemy. It can be a tool that you're using. I'm not telling you like artist and I get it. If you're a painter, paint. I'm not telling you that you're not that it's the creative or whatever. But if you listen, hey, I need a. Listen. I'm gonna lie to you. I'll throw it out there. I use AI every single day. Multiple avenues of my personal, professional lives. I literally use it for almost everything. It's not the end all be all. It's like, hey, I need a letter for this that meets the federal guidelines for this or something, and it can write a letter that's going to take me, God knows how long to write, and it spits it out in less than, a couple minutes. I proofread it and go, oh, I don't like that word. I change it. Oh, that's not correct, or whatever, and you fix it. What harm did that do, right? If it was going to take me 30 minutes or 45 minutes to write the letter, and with AI, I get it written in 6 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever, what does that hurt?
If they use it to make framework and build on it, I can see it.
Yeah, I don't think that was kind of my point.
I don't think AI will ever be able to understand human responses to stuff, and you might be able to feed in information on how a crowd is going to respond to a heel turn, or how a crowd would have responded to Jey and Jimmy last night. But I think a person always needed to do that.
Sure. Because
they've got to get this. This is a person-on-person business. It's like feelings and pain. Wrestling generates feelings. I don't think AI will be able to regenerate, but I think they'll be able to do a good job helping you set up what you want to do. Or say, say Austin Theory we want to use Austin Theory, and we also want to use him in some capacity with Seth Rollins. Are we going to let Paul Heyman write it? Are we just going to put it into AI, let him framework, and then let Paul Heyman flesh it out?
I think we're going to move on after this. I think the mystery with AI is a lot of people that complain about it have never used it.
Yes.
They don't understand how it works, and they don't understand, you don't just hit a button and it spits out. It takes a lot of, I want it to do this. You kind of have to feed it and help, feed it the information that it needs to create kind of what you're looking for or whatever, or put out I'm not even going to say create because some people are offended by that word, but say to put out what you're trying to accomplish. I think this as a whole, same thing. Somebody once told me hey, if you do this, then that's one graphic designer that they're not gonna use and buy their shirt. I go, are they already buying shirts? No. Are they already doing this? No. How about maybe potentially it's going to give somebody an opportunity to do stuff with AI, to give it to people at an affordable price that these people were never going to use the graphic designer to begin with.
And WWE's always been on the forefront of technology with everything.
Yeah. So
anyway. You just accept it was going to happen.
Yeah. So now what did happen this past weekend, let's move on. AEW WrestleDream had a monster show, which, their pay-per-view always, listen, we're always honest and fair. I don't care whether you liked it or not. they absolutely deliver to their fan base on their shows.
They give them what they want.
Give them
They make you
exactly
pay
what
for
they
it,
want and then
and
some.
you give them what you want, and they're usually happy with it. So can't argue with that frame, man. And then they even had some stuff that was going to be on the pay-per-view, the pre-show with that Jet Speed and FDR match that they decided to put on the regular show and fill it out more. They had more stuff planned for the show, couldn't get it all in. But I'm liking what they're doing. I don't understand all of it all the time, but I like what they do. It's wrestling. It's content filled and getting what you pay for. I love that. If I were to pay you $50 or $40 for a WWE pay-per-view these days, no. 5, 6
They're gonna, but they, like you said, they're gonna give you plenty of stuff to watch. Some cool stuff that went down. The Fright House, some friends of the show, Griff Garrison, Cole Carter, they had a match on the Tailgate Brawl. But they also had another appearance on the show, which we're going to get into this a little more in depth in a minute. Mercedes Moné, look, by the way, tapped in show this week. Jack Jameson was the guest host this week. He actually gave a firsthand accounts of what happened, how this came to be, and all that kind of stuff. But Mercedes Moné needed a little help carrying all of her titles to the ring, and she paid and acquired the Frat House to carry all those titles because she needed some, big, strong dudes to carry those belts to the ring for her.
They're big, strong dudes.
That they are. So kudos to them. Shout out to them. And, shout out to Mercedes Moné for picking up her 11th. The next night she would go on to win her 12th title, at this past weekend. By the way, the big, obviously, shock. I want to ask your opinion. We're going to come back to Mercedes Moné. We're going to put a button on it. And, man, you know what? Let's just jump into it right now.
Okay.
Mercedes Moné, 11 titles, 12 titles now. Your thoughts?
Well, I think AEW has too many titles just off the bat. But I looked at the belt.
Oh, I was about to say, yeah, because most of them aren't those.
I know, but I looked at the belts, and okay, you bring in Mercedes Moné, you have a promotion, and she wins your belt. And your promotion, because I would have never known about EWA Women's Champion. I've never heard of the Best Ya Women's Championship. I've heard of Winnipeg Pro Wrestling. I've heard of CMML. But I never would have heard of a lot of these promotions had they not put the belt on Mercedes Moné. So that's a plus for them. Because it's advertising.
Yep.
Okay. Is she going to come back and defend the belt?
When is she going to come back?
Is she going to be on a tour back? Okay, so your women's division is basically going to be beltless and maybe working on a number one contenders match to get this when she comes back, if she comes back. But I think, to me, just sticking your belt on somebody, while it gives you a lot of advertising, does it lower the value of your belts in-house? Like, we didn't have a woman that could carry the belts. We had to bring in somebody to get it. Where were your thoughts on that?
So we had a conversation a little bit about this the other day, and it was funny. You know how I basically can talk myself into changing my thought process if I sit there and stew on it long enough.
Nick Eye.
This might actually have done this. My initial response was exactly kind of what you said. I was like, I hate it because how in the world is she going to defend 12 titles, monthly? She's not. So when is she coming back to defend it at our show? Now, a lot of them are CMLL, and, they are some bigger promotions. But if you're still like, what's going to happen? And if she doesn't come back, I only think it hurts the promote. Now, by the way, I agree with the advertising thing, and I'm all for that. If you got her coming back and you get her. Now, if she never comes back and you end up vacating your title, yes, I think there was probably more damage than good, because basically nobody beat her for it. She just hands it back, and then you just crown, essentially, you start a whole new line of, hey, this is our, new champion.
If you wanted to, crush your women's division and start all over again, I could see that happening. But does it mean your belt matters more or less?
So here's another thing I wanted to ask you, though, because we've always talked in the past about indie promotions and whatever, where they run, let's say they run monthly or multi-monthly or whatever. But it's always like, when it's monthly, it's almost like the women's title. They have one, and it's basically just a defense almost every single show. If she's not there one month, then you can have some other different talents on the show working their way up to face her. And here's what gut punched me into saying this. But yet we really were enthralled when it made the title special because Roman was the champion and he wasn't there all the time.
Yeah.
So is she the Indy women's version of Roman?
Oh, that's a stinger. I didn't even think about that. I'm
what
still
if she's
out.
not back for 2 months? It matters.
I'm really still out on this because I want to be an indie wrestling guy and say, well, she shouldn't have the belts because it makes my belts and blah blah blah. But if she comes back and defends the belt, is she going to drop it to your indie person, and that all of a sudden that indie person becomes super great person that beat Mercedes Moné?
Yeah. I think that right there, Myron, is the key to the entire thing. The belt collector gimmick is awesome as you're racking them all up. But if you aren't dedicated enough to go back and drop all those titles, that's where I have a problem with it.
What if you just carry them forever?
She's not going to carry them forever, but my point being, if she's not willing to drop them, this should only be an idea for any indie or any promotion whatsoever. If you're like, hey, we want to put the title on you, are you committed to coming back and dropping it? And we'll even tell you who it's going to be right now. Will you do that or not? And if her answer is, well, nope, don't do it. But if she's like, absolutely. What
about Cruel, just for example? If Cruel comes into, he's held Southern Fried title like 3-4 times. He comes back and they put the belt on him, but he's on the road with MLA or MLW and can't come back into town. So they have to write storylines that may have a champion, may not have a champion.
Just, hey, you got the people fighting to get to him to face him. He's special. He's an attraction. He's the world champion.
Okay. I mean, my opinion, we both are so far away from where we started on this.
Yeah.
As far as opinions go. I hope it helps your promotions.
Yeah.
That's all I can say is I hope it helps your promotions.
Yeah. I just reiterate she needs to come back and lose them. We'll go with there.
Yeah. I don't like the interim championship, though. I don't like that. Red Velvet is out. She's the championship. I liked it when they pulled Seth's belt because he was out.
That's just your more traditional wrestling. People like, if you're going sports oriented, boxing, MMA, lots of those type of, combat sports do the interim title. I guess I'm just used to it from MMA. That's just the way they do it. So I honestly really don't care. It's just like, hey, we have a champion because what if you're out 2 years? Or nobody's going to be out 2 years, but at least they're not. I get it both ways. I agree. I prefer just strip them of it, move on to the new champion. The argument would be you never beat the real champion. If you just strip them, the new guy that went, let's say CM Punk wins the belt at the belt Seth Rollins vacated. When Seth Rollins comes back, he's got a simple answer. You ain't the real champion because you never beat me for it.
I think that's a better storyline. I think it's written.
Now, when the real champion comes back, the interim champion faces them, and it's the same concept. So it's all tomato, I think, in the grand scheme of things. But hey, there's nothing wrong with that opinion. Now, a lot of opinions flew. We're going to get into just go right to the end, the I Quit match, Darby Allin and Jon Moxley. Did you see so in the 0 out, the pre-thing, that basically Renee Paquette was like, I have no idea what they're going to do. I'm so sick. I'm over this, John, because I can't even talk any sense into him. The lengths he's going in these matches and the brutality, et cetera, et cetera. She's shaving. All he's worried about is, the matches, and he's not worried about he's going to walk with his, daughter when he's older and all that kind of stuff. It's like, wow, dude, she went in hard. But boy, did Jon Moxley and Darby Allin look. I'm not, by the way, criticizing any of the spots, the whatever they want to call it, the things that happened in this match. However, there was some negativity on the internet, mostly a lot of moms and parents like saying Jon Moxley sticking Darby Allin's face in a fish tank full of water and pretending like he was going to drown him. Not a good look, for now. I'm going to ask you, Myron. It was a pay-per-view. It wasn't TV. You had to pay.
That does change my opinions, actually. Okay, that does change my opinion because you weren't some kid just flipping around TV and put it on that with your parents one night.
Correct.
And your parents. So it puts it at a higher tier. That extreme stuff. I'm not like we talked about him like Cesaro body pressing him over the ring onto a table. That doesn't bother me. But the swimming. See, I was watching a recap of the show just to touch up before we had our recording, and when I got to that scene with the fish tank, I turned it off because I didn't want to see that. I didn't want to see it the first time. I didn't want to see it the second time.
Yeah.
I just thought it was too dangerous. Okay. I'm not
How
into
long can
that
you hold
stuff.
your breath? No, I don't think it was dangerous. I know that sounds.
I can't
No. I meant Darby. Like, my point would be like, hey, Darby, how long can you hold your breath? 60 seconds. All right, dude, I'm going to count to like 20 while I'm doing it, and I'm going to pull you out. Whatever. I don't know how long, and it doesn't matter. I would just love to know what people think. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. What were was it too far? Was it,
I'm not saying ban deathmatch stuff. I'm saying deathmatch is a niche. Okay? Deathmatch to me is a niche like those where you pay women to wrestle.
I don't think people were mad that it was dangerous in the sense of the word. I think it was because it portrayed an act of him trying, like, is he trying to kill him? That's really the result of what he's trying to accomplish. Like, literally kill him. Not like, I'm going to make him feel so much pain or whatever. No, that's an act of like, hey, you're trying to kill the kid. And I think that's what the mothers had a problem with. Me personally, whatever. It was a pay-per-view.
My thing, it's a personal thing. I don't like it. I don't watch it.
Sure.
I don't get on the internet and complain about it. I do this on the show.
From a wrestling perspective, one question, and then we're going to move on from WrestleDream. Jon Moxley has been going around basically, he's sharpening the iron. He's just beating there, he's so big bad or whatever, and that's why he's the leader of the Death Riders. I hate to tell you, for the last few months, his win-loss record ain't the best when it comes to these times. Pondering question, is it time for the Death Riders to go, it's time probably for you blood in, blood out, buddy. You're not cutting it anymore as the leader. And do they cut him out as the leader of the Death Riders and move? Because Jon Moxley probably needs a change in direction at this point. That's like my opinion. I'm not saying
change in direction.
And is that the turn that he respects Darby for what he for the win, and they cut him out, and does Jon Moxley become the babyface now after this massive heel run? My answer would be, how about we just cut him out and he goes away for like 6 months,
learns a new hold or something.
Just go away, go home, spend some time with the family and the whatever, and then when you show back up, it'll be a massive babyface reaction. Just a thought.
Reasonable.
One more thing before AEW, before we get to making the drives, it's come out this week. Warner Brothers Discovery basically confirms they are in the sale exploration process. They're kind of putting it all out there. They're open to selling off the individual divisions like Warner Brothers or the Discovery Global, the studios, lots of other things. We've heard rumors that potentially Netflix is interested in the movie studio divisions of it, DC, the Harry Potter films, all that kind of stuff, for content. Shocking. They're always shopping for content. So the question is, Nick, why are y'all discussing this on a wrestling podcast? It's because we had asked the question, like, how would that even impact AEW? Well, it's the primary broadcast partner that they've got, right?
Yeah.
Has been forever. Look, they have a TV deal. Even if it's sold, they've got a TV deal. And it doesn't necessarily hurt them at the moment, but the next go around of TV, renegotiations and stuff, then they become a little, because now you've kind of got a new partner, not one that you've kind of built the relationship up to this point on.
And content's king. It's cash is not king anymore. Content's king. You have to have content to make cash on the internet these days. And getting all this massive amount of product would be good. If somebody wants to buy that, it'd be good. I don't know why they kept Paramount out. Was it just not a good enough deal? Was they
You mean?
blocked the Paramount Studios acquisition of Warner Brothers?
Oh yeah. That the people that were looking at that started getting into dangerous monopoly levels.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a massive.
So they're going to have to
situation.
split it to make it a good product to sell.
Right. If they sell this movie in the studio division, it goes, let's say hypothetically, I don't know, if it goes off to Netflix and then somebody else comes along and buys the TV or they want to do Warner Brothers, part, the Discovery piece goes off as a separate piece. It gets super complicated and all that kind of stuff, way above my pay grade. But they're saying the split and the sale discussions are in early stages. There's nobody formally ready to get it. Like I said, I had heard the Netflix thing come out. I just think the biggest parts of the wrestling side of it, well, AEW, like what does that do for their there's broadcast ability.
Remember Rico's, our favorite restaurant in Buford. They took over the lease on Tannery Row where they had wrestling, and one of the things he said was that doesn't fit my business model. If somebody else buys all this and then wrestling doesn't fit their business model, it could cause issues.
Here's the thing. I'm a glass half full guy. And what I would say the case for is, does it cause it risk of them losing it, or does it open the door for them to go negotiate with somebody who's willing to pay more? Because deals have been going up. You never know.
And somebody's watching all these deals, the TV deals for the ESPN, the Netflix, how happy they are. There's somebody getting all these numbers besides Dave Meltzer, somebody getting the real numbers and making these decisions. So
my point being is that, look, 2 years ago, one of my favorite, we live in a whole new world than we did 2 years ago when the Southern deal was negotiated with AEW. The money might actually be better if something happened and they could go out and negotiate and they could get another deal with somebody else. It might be better for them. It might not be the worst.
Easier to get to. Oh yeah, okay.
So you never ever know. But
Prime.
I could, yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe they've already they're in the pay-per-view business with them already, right? So you never know. But I will tell you, there is one thing we always know, and that is every single week here on the Tapped Out Podcast. Now, we are jumping in the car at the end of the show, and we are making the drives. And we're going to go over, look ahead to what shows we've got coming up all over Georgia Indie Wrestling this week. And let's start right out on Friday night, October the 24th in Conyers, Georgia. PCW Platinum Championship Wrestling. Bell time is 8 o'clock. It is one of their big shows of the year. It's not the big show of the year for them. Turn the page 3. Rose Gold will defend the PCW Women's Championship against Ravana XIN. I don't even know what that means, by the way. The Dealer's Choice Championship is on the line as DJ Smoke will defend against William Huckabee. And guess what, Myron? The fans get to choose the stipulation.
Oh, I like that and don't like it at the same time.
DJ Smoke's title versus William Huckabee's career. That's one option. Falls Count Anywhere match. Dog collar match.
I wouldn't do that with William Huckabee. No. Last time I saw a dog collar match, no. That's some good choices, and I like that. I like that the variety there. I'm really more excited in seeing Jay Shaw and Chad Skywalker team up. I think that'll be interesting to see how that goes. Versus ENT.
Yep.
They there to treat allergies or it's not ear, nose, and throat.
No. They'll be defend. Yeah, it's called Swamp Rules, no rules. It's always a good time when you do that. Skrilla versus Edward Draven in an Earn My Respect match. The Book of Destiny Invitational is an open challenge that anybody can get into and step up to. One night, one shot, one man will earn an opportunity to challenge for any championship in PCW anytime, anywhere. And of course, the show is completely headlined. Dominic Stuckey, Nauseacism, 3 stages of hell for the PCW championship. Finally, Dominic has an opportunity to stand on top of PCW, and again, I jokingly say I'm not a betting man, but if I was, Dom's time is now in PCW, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, Dom is totally on top of everything right now across Georgia. He is on a tear, and he has a fan base that's extremely nuts for him. So yeah, I would really like to see. I'd like to see that and see how that works out. But what about Royston, Nick? They got something going on there on Friday night.
Absolutely, on Friday night at the Royston Dome, bell time 8 o'clock, just like always. Nick Kalen and Stevie Ray Frost, Friday night championship's going to go down there. Luke Da Silva and John the Body Johnson, they will speak as Luke Da Silva is your new heavyweight champion. Hunter James is going to be in the house. He is your Georgia Heritage Championship holder, so we'll see what pans out there. It's a big follow-up show off to a special TV taping that they had last week, so you don't want to miss it again. Like every week, by the way, if you are a big SCA fan, you do want to check it out this weekend, this Friday, because on Halloween night, they will be taking the night off, from my understanding. So they will be off for Halloween, so get up there and check them out this week, 8 o'clock at the Royston Dome.
Definitely.
Saturday, October 25th, Cartersville, Georgia, Southern Honor. That's right, folks, I said it. Southern Honor at bell time is at 12:30 p.m. There's a big Fight and Fright Fest they're going to be pulling up. They're going to be doing there up in Cartersville. Aaron Dallas and Michael Stevens will go one-on-one. Grayson Pierce and Herculon Rage, they will go one-on-one. And Corinne Joy and Isabella Wilder, they will go one-on-one in a women's match. Little treat kind of to hold you over until we get to Southern Honor, still here, coming up next month at the beginning of the month. So if you're missing your Southern Honor and you need a little taste now, head on up to Cartersville. Like I said, bell time is at 12:30. You might get a double shot in, folks. You could do two shows on Saturday.
And on top of it, Southern Honor hadn't had a lot of women's wrestling in the past. So it'll be a chance to see some women's wrestling on Southern Honor.
I agree. In Winder, Georgia, One Fall Wrestling. They're going to be running at the Finished Goods and Brew Works. I believe as of right now, we will be here on Saturday. Bell time is at 7 p.m. Only match announced to this point is QT Marshall versus Sunny Days, which, there's that old running joke in, clash of styles.
Oh, yeah.
Major understatement in this match. Major
This is going to be interesting.
Understatement.
This is going to be very interesting to see how it works out.
I am 100% invested and intrigued in this match. Absolutely, without question, why I'm going to this show. I just have to see this match.
Are we going to get to see the Sunny Days pumpkin head? Sunny Days with the pumpkin on his head?
I would imagine so.
I like that. That's that orange face paint. I love that. Yeah, this is going to be pretty cool. It's a great opportunity to get down there, and it's a cool venue, folks. It's a cool venue. I really enjoyed the time we spent there on that day. We double shotted.
Yep. Again, that is One Fall in Winder, bell time 7 p.m. 1FWLive.com, by the way, to get your tickets ahead of time. Also on Saturday in Buckhead, Georgia, GCW, Georgia Classic Wrestling. They will be there. Bell time is 7 p.m. as Nick Kalen versus Chop Tops, 2 out of 3 falls. Xander Seabolt versus the Sweeper for the TV title. Bad Company and will take on R.C. Daniels and Zach King for the tag titles. Sean Nelson, Sam Hansen, all the cast of characters you're familiar with there at GCW.
Yes.
They will be there this Saturday, again, in Buckhead, Georgia.
Kind
of eager to see. It's going to be. It's a fun show. Yeah, absolutely. Georgia's off, by the way, I believe. So enjoy your Saturday shows this week. Last but not least, Passion of Wrestling. They are running in Swainsboro, Georgia. Their bell time is 7 p.m. Cody Behringer will take on Swole and defend the Passion of Wrestling title. Bud Heavy will take on the Dirty Dog for the Pure Championship. Jazz will take on Elvira Lestrange, and an old friend of the show, Will Huckabee. He's going to be down there. Look, this feud with James Hall has been going for a little while now, and I think William Huckabee's ready to put the nail in the coffin on this one and put an end to it. So absolutely check out Passion of Wrestling. If you're down there in South Georgia and Swainsboro, swing on by and check them out as well.
I'm telling you, man, you just gave me the strangest thought. You said, with Georgia being off, going out to shows, and we've seen that affect indie wrestling. And we've seen that affect Gary Lamb, and he was talking about his festivals. He just decided to get a big TV and put it up. Why don't you just go ahead and whenever the football game starts, have your concession stand open, have people come in, They'll sit around, but pay a ticket, and when the wrestling starts, the wrestling starts. Might be a good way to do something, earn some money, and cross promote yourself.
No, I'm right there with you, man. I without question, I think you're 100% right. But look. Also, by the way, I saved this one for last, Myron. This one has been building, and building. This Saturday night, Savannah, Georgia. It's coming, folks. It's right. It is finally here as the 3 Stages of Hell Coastal Empire Wrestling. Just absolutely a loaded show from top to bottom.
Definitely.
I'm going to go through. We're going to get to the end. We'll get to the main at the end. In singles competition, Zach Mosley is going to take on Christian Taylor. Both big fans. I know both of us are of him.
Good match. That's worth the cost right there.
Yeah. Also in singles competition, finally, Randy Reno, not Randall Reno III, folks. Randy Reno will get his hands on Simon Sermon and try to get a little retribution for the things that have gone on here recently.
Fair. That's a good match.
Kevin Cantrell, absolute wrestling machine. He's been super running rampant down in South Georgia. I really wish more guys would bring him up here to North Georgia. Reach out to him on social media. Kevin Cantrell will take on Ryan Rembrandt. Sal Renaro comes down to Coastal Empire, and he will go one-on-one with 100 James at Coastal Empire, folks.
That's going to be good.
Yep. Also, Young Mighty Joe will challenge Akeem Young for the Coastal Chaos title. I always have to slow down when I say that, by the way, because it's always I always mess it up. But again, we're not done, folks. Still, I told you this card's loaded, man. The tag team turmoil title match will be on as the Superstars will challenge the Allen brothers for those titles. I was there the night the Allen brothers, they picked up a big win over the Good Hand, won those championships. They've been successfully defending them. They did last month. Now here we are. This is the Tommy Mars, Jimmy Wild, the Superstars combination.
Yes.
I'm telling you, man, watch your backs. I think those kids are ready to be tag teams.
Kids, they're doing great. I got to give them that.
Yep. Also, J. Alpha Miller, he will take on Hawk Thomas. They will go in singles action. But look, the one that everybody's talking about, folks, it's the 3 Stages of Hell match. Bryce Cannon finally gets, he gets his hands on Dax Anthony. Things have been going on for like a year, Myron.
Yep.
Literally like a year. 3 Stages of Hell. First blood match, all or nothing death match, and a tables match. Now, not in that order, folks. I know what you're asking me. That is not the exact order of those. I just wanted, kind of get them in there. Literally, it's stage 1 is a first blood match. Stage 2 is a tables match. Stage 3 is an all or nothing death match. And this is the links these two are willing to go to. Well, I don't know about Dax, but the links that Bryce Cannon's willing to go to get his hands on Dax Anthony.
Ooh.
And you're talking about payoffs. This, to me, kind of, folks, is what when we talk about wrestling, and I get it. I'm not a deathmatch guy, but that ain't the point. This is when it's used. It's a feud that's been building for a year. That's that's why.
Belts, matches like this, jumps off the turnbuckle. If you do them all the time, it's no longer special. It's no longer an attraction. Just my opinion.
Yeah. And again, they are down there, Coastal Empire. They're down there in Savannah. Look, it's all the way tucked in the corner. But look, I went to this show, to their show a couple months ago. I think I remember me telling you, I'm like, dude, the venue's awesome.
Oh yeah, you were telling me all about it.
It's super loud. It's just there's so much about the venue. They're doing really good stuff with their stories. So I'm just a massive fan of the product as a whole. And again, their bell time is 7:30 there in Savannah. So you got time. Here's my suggestion. Get in your car, head on down to Savannah, enjoy some time, grab some dinner, get a hotel, spend the night in Savannah. It's a great, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
beautiful city to go visit.
I agree. So check them out. Savannah, Georgia, Coastal Empire, 3 Stages of Hell, Bryce Cannon versus Dax Anthony. And I'm going to make a tease right here. I've reached out to Bryce Cannon and asked him, I want him to host the Tapped In show next week because I want to get a first-hand account of what goes down at this show.
Ooh, Lord.
Now, whether that happens or not, hey, reach out to Bryce and tell him to do the show. Tappedoutpod@gmail.com. I think that's the best thing we can do is because I want a first-hand, what went down on this show. So, Myron, that is all of the cards that we have, sent to us and that we've got, to cover. But if there's more stuff that hey, Mick, we want more coverages. Well, Nick tells you Tapped Out Pod, that's the best place to go, right? Patreon.com/TappedOutPod. You're going to get TV reviews. You're going to get show notes. You're going to get, bonus content. You're going to get digital versions of the collectibles. I don't know. I'm still making the case where I don't understand why $25 a month, what are you doing, folks? 2 variant, variant cover and a cover of Cruel last month. We've done Jay Lethal. We've had Jeff Jarrett. We've had, Sunny Days. We've had QT Marshall. Carly Bravo. Like, should we go on and on and on with the names that have been out there?
But not only does he gives you the extra inch on the top, but he gives you stars that if you went and bought these autographs at shows would cost more than this to get these autographs. Okay.
I mean, look, there's sometimes I'm going to use some indie guys. It's going to happen. I mean, I'm doing, but I'm trying to make the value there overall across the entire year, and I've done that this year. I've already said, look, I've probably, since we started it in the summer, I've already created the value for the year.
Yes.
But that's my humble opinion. What do I know? So we tell you fans every single time, man, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you whatever. But before we get out here, I always have to follow protocol. You got anything else, Myron, before we get out of here?
I do not.
What's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.